Hare Krishna. Can you hear my voice? Am I audible? Is my voice audible? Okay, let's start. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. We have been discussing from the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We did complete the seventh chapter, actually day before yesterday. And yesterday we recapped the chapter and we did mostly question and answer sessions. So I will do a really quick recap of this chapter just so that we get the momentum for the next chapter. And then we will cover some portions of the next chapter. And then we will, towards the end, we'll pause for some questions. So I'm sure there were some unanswered questions from yesterday also. We can take those questions towards the end. So, okay. So after the section on Rishabhadev, we started with the Bharat Maharaj section where Bharat Maharaj, after Rishabhadev, entrusted the ruling of that Bharata Varsha to Bharat Maharaj, and Bharat Maharaj married Panchajani, and in Panchajani he begot five sons. And Bharat Maharaj, due to exemplary rule of Bharat Maharaj, that Varsha, which was till then called as Ajanaba Varsha, it became called as, it became named as Bharata Varsha after Bharat Maharaj. And Bharat Maharaj engaged in his own duties, Varnashrama duties, and also engaged his citizens in their duties with great affection. But not only that, his main job was actually worshipping the Supreme Lord. But he also performed all these various sacrifices called as like Agnihotra, Darsha Paurnamasa, and so on. And even though he did not have faith in them, in terms of, he did not have faith that they were part of his sadhana. He was just doing it as for Loka Sangraha purposes, while he himself was. And also, it was mentioned that even while performing these sacrifices, um, Bharat Maharaj did not have faith in these sacrifices as sadhana. Um, and also, it is mentioned that he, whatever came out of those sacrifices, the fruits of those sacrifices, Bharata just used it as an offering to the Supreme Lord. And even though there were chants of the demigods' names while offering the oblations, as in Indraya Swaha, Varunaya Swaha, etc., he considered that those were offerings only for Krishna, because Krishna is the Lord of all the demigods. And also, it is mentioned that he thought that the Supreme Lord only was performing that sacrifice. He was just an instrument. And also, while chanting the names of these various demigods, he meditated on the various limbs of the bodies of the Supreme Lord. Like we saw, this is not a kind of meditation which is recommended for pure devotees, but Bharat Maharaj was just doing the best use of the bad bargain. The best use of the bad bargain. That was what Bharat Maharaj was doing here. He said that, okay, anyways, I will have to hear the chanting of the names of the demigods, for whom I have great respect, but at the same time, you know, I would like to use my time to meditate on the Supreme Lord. I might as well meditate on the various limbs of the bodies of the Supreme Lord while these names are being chanted. Okay. Then we had a long discussion on these on this. We will not get into it. And then performing these kind of karmas with a pure devotional intention. So Bharat Maharaj bhakti enhanced more and more, and he directed that bhakti to the Supreme Lord, uh, who was situated in the heart and as well as in Vaikunta, which was the object of his worship. And then, after ruling for almost 10 crore years, out of humility, he thought maybe my karma is not destroyed. Uh, Maybe my karma is not destroyed. Out of humility, he felt like that. And he left the kingdom and enthroned his sons, left the kingdom and went to Pulaha ashram to perform exclusive devotional service to attain perfection. And there, the Lord is available for the worshippers uh, mm, in all sorts of forms. There, Gandaki river flows um, on both sides. And Bharat Maharaj performed alone worship of the Lord in the hermitage, in a hermitage in the Pulaha ashram, while worshipping the Lord through very simple, pure things like roots and fruits and flowers, etc. And he was very satisfied with that kind of a worship. And when he reached a particular stage of being a Nirapeksha Bhakta, till then he was a pure devotee, but he was playing the role of a um, Parinishtita Bhakta. Parinishtita Bhakta means one who had um, who was a pure devotee who had no need to perform the Varnashrama duties, but still performing it just because he wanted to set the right example for his citizens. But at this stage, his degree of bhava reached such high degrees that he could not think about uh, Lokasangraha karma at all. He could not think about Lokasangraha karma at all. So he naturally started neglecting those Varnashrama duties uh, because of the intensity of bhava, and all kinds of sattvika vikara started manifesting in his body, all symptoms of ecstasy. And in this way, he was filled with the highest bliss by the practice of bhakti yoga alone, hmm, which bestows prema. And he was worshipped just like a hermit, and he was reciting a mantra for worshipping Lord Vishnu, and that mantra is given. So, in this way, Bharat Maharaj is performing his austerities alone in the forest in Pulaha Ashrama, and this is where we ended the seventh chapter. So let's move on to the eighth chapter. Um, this eighth chapter is titled as Bharat Maharaj becomes a deer. Very interesting chapter, very interesting illuminations by our acharyas, has to be understood in the right sense. Okay, we will start this chapter now and see how far we can get. Okay, so the story continues. Srila Shukadeva Goswami says, Ekadatu Mahanadyam Krita Abhisheka Nayamika Avashyako Brahmaksharam Abhigranano Muhurtatrayam Udakanta Upavivesha. Ekada, one day, Krita Abhisheka Nayamika Avashyako, having performed his daily rites, bodily needs, and having taken bath, Upavivesha, he was sitting Mahanadyam Udakanta, on the bank of the river. Udaka Anta means at the end of where you know the water body ended, which means in the banks. Brahmaksharam Abhigranano, chanting Krishna mantras, Muhurta Trayam, for three muhurtas. Okay, one muhurta is 42 minutes, right? 42 minutes, 48 minutes. One muhurta. How much is one muhurta? Anyone remembers? Yeah, 48 minutes, right? Yeah, 48 minutes is one muhurta, correct. So for three muhurtas, he was chanting Krishna mantras, which is very similar to what we do, right? We do almost like 2 hours. He was doing about maybe little more than that. Okay, he was chanting Krishna mantras. The eighth chapter, summarizing this chapter, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the eighth chapter describes how Bharata raised a fawn and meditating on it attained the body of a deer in his next life. Krishna, an ocean of cleverness, very important statement. Please hear this very, very carefully. Krishna, an ocean of cleverness, protected this deer who was previously Bharata to show that compassion, if it is an obstacle to bhakti, must be given up. So, Krishna orchestrated this whole episode of Bharat Maharaj getting attracted to the deer by making Bharat Maharaj get attracted to the deer, even though it is generally not possible for a person at the stage of bhava to get attracted. Because through Bharat Maharaj, he wanted to show that any attachment, if it is an obstacle to our progressing on the path of bhakti, must be given up. Hmm. Any obstacle, any attachment, if it is an obstacle to our progress on the path of bhakti, must be given up. This he wanted to show through Bharat Maharaj. So he made Bharat Maharaj get attracted to the deer. Though it is very uncharacteristic of a person at the stage of bhava to develop such attractions. The Lord shows his affection for his devotee by protecting Bharata in the form of a deer so that he would fall in the ocean of remorse in order to drown in the ocean of prema. So he will, even as a deer, Neha Vikramana Shosti Pratyavayona Vidyate. Krishna protected, even though deers are not expected to perform devotional service. But Bharat Maharaj was a very extraordinary deer. It is mentioned that when he was in the deer body, he had 100 times or 1,000 times more love for Krishna than when he had the body of Bharat Maharaj. Okay, like that. He had performed his daily rites, necessities like passing urine and bathing. Hmm. Abhisheka is placed first in the Dvandva compound because of having less syllables and being similar to words like Aja in usage. Okay. Brahmaksharam means the syllables of a Krishna mantra. Abhig Abhigranahan means uttering. Tatra tada rajan harini pipasaya jalashayabhyasham eka eva upajagama. O king, a doe means a female deer. A doe, being very thirsty, came near the water there. तया पेपीयमान उदके तावद एव अविदूरेण नदतो मृगपतेर उन्नादः लोक भयंकर उदपतत. तया पेपीयमान उदके, while the doe was drinking water, nadato mrigapater unnadah, the roar of a lion, loka bhayankara, which can cause fear to everyone in this world, avidurena udapatat, it arose nearby. So, while she was drinking water, she heard the sound of the roar of a lion. Pepiyamane means drinking with great attachment. Mrigapatehe is a lion. Tam upashrutya sa mrigavaduhu prakriti viklava chakita nirikshana sutaramapi haribaya abhinivesha vyagra hridaya pariplavadrishtir agata trisha bayad sahasa eva uchchakrama. Hearing that sound, the doe, whose nature was to be alarmed, Prakriti Viklava, she had the Prakriti or the nature of being always afraid because she is amongst uh, forest dwelling animals, she's not a very powerful animal. And there were lions, tigers, leopards, cheetahs, and so many other more powerful animals. She had to protect herself. That her life was always in danger. So these animals were Prakriti Viklava. She had the nature to be alarmed. Chakita Nirikshana with restless eyes. Haribhaya Abhinivesha Vyagra Hridaya with fear of the lion entering its agitated heart. Pariplava Drishtihi with irresolute gaze. Bhayat in great terror. Sahasa eva Uchakrama Sutaramapi. She leaped over the stream in the same instant. Agata Trisha without satisfying her thirst. She did not even drink sufficient water to pacify her thirst. As soon as she heard the sound of the lion, in great fear, she just jumped into the water. She jumped into the stream of water. Uh, Sahasa means at the same time as the roar. Bayat means in terror. She jumped over the river. Tasya utpatantya antarvatnya urubhaya avagalito yoni nirgato garbha srotasi nipapata. Antarvatnya, when the pregnant doe, utpatantya, when she jumped up, tasya yoni nirgato garbha, tasya garbha yoni nirgatah, her fetus came out. Her fetus came out of the womb. Urubhaya avagalitah. She was pushed out by great fear. Srotasi nipapata, and she fell into the river. In great fear, she was pushed out and she fell into the river. Antarvatnyaha means pregnant. Tat prasva tat prasava utsarpana bhaya kheda atura swaganena viyujyamana kasyanchid daryam Krishna sarasati nipapatata cha mamara. Atura, afflicted, kheda. The mother was afflicted by exhaustion because she had just given birth to a child, fear because she heard the sound of a lion, utsarpana, and because of jumping, tat prasava, the discharge of her fetus, swaganena viyujyamana, and separated from the flock. So, lot of things were happening in the life of the mother at that particular point of time. She was pregnant, she was thirsty, she was exhausted due to giving birth. She was fearful because of hearing the sound of the lion. And not only that, her fetus got discharged right when she was jumping. And not only that, there were the other members of the flock had moved on. She was alone. It was a very traumatic situation for the doe. Nothing was working in her favor. So therefore, Krishna Sarasati, that black doe, Kasyanchit Daryam Nipapatata cha Mamara. So she fell down in a cave and then died. All these things together, she could not kind of take it. It was too much stressful physically, mentally, uh, and unable to tolerate that. She went to a nearby cave and then just dropped dead there. She dropped dead there. Utprasava means giving birth from a high place, an abortion. This is an alternate reading. Tvam tve tam tu ena kunakam kripanam srotasanuhyamanam abhivikshya apaviddam bandur iva anukampaya rajarshir bharata Adaya mritamataram iti ashramapadam anayat. Rajarshihi Bharata. You see here very clearly. He could have just told Bharata. Because of what is going to happen here, he clarifies. Rajarshi Bharata. He was still the great king. He was a Rajarshi. Abhivikshya tam tu kripanam yena kunakam. Seeing that helpless fawn. Fawn is a small deer. Doe is a female deer. Fawn is a deer child. Okay, a deer cub, whatever you may want to say. It is called as a fawn. Srotasa anuhyamanam, because she had given birth to the child in the river. The fawn was floating in the river, floating down the river. Anukampaya, out of compassion. Bandhu river, as a friend. Adaya mritamataram, thinking that his mother had died. Anayat, he took the fawn, apaviddam, which had no friend, ashramapadam, to his hermitage. So as soon as it fell down, okay, out of natural compassion, Bharat Maharaj protected that fawn and brought it to his ashram. The deer was a baby separated from its kind. Because it was small, helpless, and separated from its kind, he felt compassion. That was very, very natural. It is very natural Vaishnava compassion. Here, till now. Okay. Tasyaha va ena kunaka uccairetasmin krita nija abhimana abhimanasya aharahas tat poshana palana lalana prinana anudhyana anudhyanena atmaniyamaha sahayamaha purusha paricharyadaya ekaikashah katipayena aharganena viyujyamanaha kila sarva eva udavasan. Okay. Ena kunaka krita nija abhimanasya. Taking the fawn as his own child. The king daily fed it, protected it, caressed it, and pleased it. Becoming absorbed in the deer by these activities, he gave up his own regulations and rules of conduct and his worship of the Lord bit by bit. It did not happen all of a sudden. Bit by bit, little by little. Okay. That's why they say, right? If you put a frog in boiling water, it will immediately jump out and escape. But if you put a frog in a slowly heat, in a water and slowly heat it, gradually when the temperature increases more and more and more and more and more, without noticing, the frog does not just jump out, but the frog also does not realize that it is slowly getting cooked. So similarly, if we are put in a situation which is very obviously significantly different from the situation that we are in and very non-conducive for our practice of bhakti, immediately we leave that place. Immediately we leave that place. But when the change happens very gradually, when the change happens very gradually, day by day by day by day, little relaxations we start doing, and after a year you see that those accumulation of those little relaxations have taken us to such a degree that our practices have become significantly relaxed. So, so that frog, when slowly, you know, degree by degree, when the temperature of the water is increased, the frog does not just jump out. Okay, the frog does not just jump out. Okay, because it becomes slowly comfortable with the gradually increasing temperature, but over a period of time, it dies. So suddenly, it did not happen that in one day Bharat Maharaj left all his practices, but gradually, little by little, he started relaxing. Okay, and in a few days, uh, and then everything became neglected. Everything became neglected. He fed the deer grass, protected it from wild animals, gave affection by petting it, and fondled it with kisses. By these, he became attached to it. Udavasan means destroyed. अहोबतायम हरिण कुणकः कृपण ईश्वर रथचरण परिभ्रमण रयेण स्वगण सुहृद बंधुभ्यः परिवर्जितः शरणं च म उपसादितो मामेव माता पितरौ भ्रातृज्ञातीन् यौतिकांश्च च एव उपेयाय न अन्यं कञ्चन वेद मयि अति विश्रब्धः चात एव मया मत् परायणस्य पोषण पालन प्रीणन लालनम अनसू अनसूयुन अनुष्ठेयम शरण्योपेक्षा दोष विदुषा. So here he says, alas, this helpless young deer, by the force of the turning of the Lord's wheel of time, has now lost its relatives and friends and has taken shelter of me. It does not know anyone but me, as I have become its father, mother, brother, and relatives. It has faith in me. Therefore, I, without envy, knowing the fault of neglecting one who approaches in surrender, should raise, protect, gratify, and fondle this deer who has surrendered to me. This is how Bharat Maharaj was thinking. Look at this deer. So it all started with compassion only, which is very reasonable, which is very, very natural. But at some point, uh, he did not give up his compassion, which is very good. But at some point, he started neglecting things which were anukul for his bhakti in the name of compassion. So it started out with compassion, but very soon it developed into attachment. Very soon it developed into attachment. It was no longer just compassion, it became attachment. And he started neglecting what was anukul for his bhakti because of this attachment. So from this verse till verse 11, his attachment is shown. The deer has been separated from its kind by the force of the rotation of the Lord's wheel of time. Ma means me. Being without envy, I see no fault in giving up my own interest for that of the deer, whereas neglecting one who has come for shelter is a great fault. So now you see here, ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषुपजायते संगात् संजायते कामात् कामात् क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहात् सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रम स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. So this gradual transition is being described. This gradual transition is being described. It starts with mere meditation. Dhyayato. Oh, interesting. You know, something interesting here. That leads to Sangha. Sangha means, oh, I like it. It's nice. I like it. Then comes Kama. I want it. It becomes all the more obsession sets in. And when someone becomes an obstacle to it, Krodha. And if you get it, then it becomes lobha. Okay. I want more, 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 more. Give me more, like that. So these are the various stages by which mind becomes completely caught up. So now that mind which has become powerful by such strong emotions start influencing the intelligence. Krodad bhavati sammohaha. Sammoha means he becomes completely bewildered, not understanding what is right and what is wrong. So discrimination is lost. Bharat Maharaj, in this case. Of course, all of this is happening by the plan of Krishna. By Bharat Maharaj, at his level of devotional progress, it is impossible for him to act in this way. But nevertheless, this is all orchestrated by Krishna. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. What is right, what is wrong, he is not able to see. Hmm. He is not able to see. Sammohat smriti vibrama. And at some time, uh, uh, you know, he starts losing the memory. Array, if I get caught up in this kind of a thing, if I am caught up in this quicksand of attachments, how to come out? Step one, step two, step three, step four, what I should do. He starts forgetting those steps. And then at some point, when the memory is lost, Smriti Bramshad Buddhinasho. Buddhinasha means he loses his determination to fight. Forget it. I can't fight anymore. I can't fight anymore. There is no point. I don't see light at the end of the tunnel. I might as well succumb. I might as well continue to succumb. Thinking in this way, he gives up fighting also. Hmm. So, first, in the first step of surrender of the intelligence, discrimination is surrendered, then memory is surrendered, then determination is surrendered. All three are functions of intelligence. Okay. So, like that, here you clearly see that he is saying that, okay, so what? Uh, Is my, uh, why should I be so selfish about my own sadhana? Is my sadhana more important than the life of this deer? This sounds very reasonable, right? Like oftentimes we hear these kind of uh, mm, arguments also. Okay. To do your own sadhana is very selfish. To be attached to your own sadhana is very selfish. You know, do something for the nation, do something for mm, don't just be merely attached to your own sadhana. Uh, So, like that. Bharat Maharaj thought this way. Is my sadhana so much more valuable than the life? This is life and death for this deer. But is my sadhana so much more important than the life and death of this deer? Like that he felt. Seems very reasonable, right? But the point is, all these thoughts were going on the level of bodily identification. Okay. All said and done, that deer, he could have given it some prasadam and let it go. Or maybe just uh, keep it in a safe place or do whatever is needed, but not at the cost of his sadhana. Okay. Uh, See, Jiva Daya is very important, but Jiva Daya also has to be rendered on the platform, not on the platform of body merely. Okay. Not on the platform of body merely. Hmm. So, hmm, unless uh, we take care of our own spiritual lives properly, uh, we will not even be eligible instruments of compassion. Okay. So shown compassion to others shown by a person who is spiritually weak is anyways not going to generate much sukriti. It's anyways not going to generate much sukriti. So better we equip ourselves nicely uh, through proper practice of sadhana, sadhu sangha, etc. So that even little compassion shown, a little act of compassion shown towards other living entities would have a more tangible effect. But it is natural that we start seeing that, oh, my own sadhana is just a selfish way of spending time, like that. But the point is that if we don't spend time on that, we will become ineligible carriers of compassion. Okay. Ineligible carriers of compassion. Even though we may show lot of compassion, that lot of compassion may generate very meager sukriti. Okay. So like they say, so sonar ka ek lohar ka. Okay. You know, a goldsmith, he has a very small hammer and he keeps, hitting 100 times to shape that small earring or a golden earring or a golden bangle. 100 times. 100 times he hits to get a small delicate dent on that golden bangle. Whereas a blacksmith, okay, a blacksmith takes a big hammer, one shot, and a big iron piece gets cut into two. Okay. So this so sonarka is, when we don't properly spiritually equip ourselves and engage too much in activities of compassion, uh, activities of compassion, then what happens? Then it will be like so sonarka. You know, we keep hitting 100 times and it makes a very small, insignificant dent. Whereas if we are properly eligible carriers of compassion by proper sadhu sangha and proper sadhana of hearing and chanting, then one loharka, we become actually proper. That is why if you see, when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur decided to go and preach, okay, he went to Mayapur and for, I think, 11 years, right? 11 years non-stop of exclusive sadhana of everyday chanting, unlimited number of rounds, sitting and chanting all the time. And then when he came, of course, we do see that uh, he definitely was a Nitisiddha associate of the Lord, but to set the right example, when he came, it was ek loharka, one shot. Okay. And similarly, Srila Prabhupada also, when he was encouraged continuously by his Guru Maharaj, both physically over letters and after his passing away in dreams and through other God brothers of his when he got the same message, he took his time, prepared himself, a lifetime of preparation. He prepared, okay. And right when he was close to 70 years old, that's when he went. But what was the impact? Uh, Look at the impact. Okay. So therefore, we should not fall to these kind of arguments of good intention devotees, very well intentioned devotees. No devotee wants to consciously, no devotee wants to consciously misguide others. Uh, that much faith we should definitely have. No devotee wants to consciously misguide others or misguide themselves. But unconsciously, these things do happen. Okay. To be attached to your own sadhana is a selfish thing. Okay. This is actually a That kind of selfishness is very good, actually. That kind of selfishness is very good. Uh, of course, the mentality should be a mode of humility, that what will I do without any spiritual power? Not that I don't want to help others, but to help others, I have to help myself first. Okay. That mentality is very favorable. It is very important. And here is Bharat Maharaj, of course, by the influence of Yoga Maya, which will become very clear very soon. He was just thinking that, is my sadhana so important than the life of a deer? Which sounds very reasonable. But the point is that he was thinking in this way from a material bodily perspective. Hmm. नूनं हि आर्याः साधव उपशमशीलाः कृपणसुहृद एवं विदार्थे स्वार्थानपि गुरुतरान् उपेक्षन्ते. Okay. Those who are detached, who are cultured and saintly, friends to the helpless, neglect their own important interests for such purposes. See, this is how Bharat Maharaj is thinking. So the intelligence has now started giving reasons to Bharat Maharaj to, justify what he was doing. His intelligence said, look, isn't this how detached, cultured, saintly people act? How? They neglect their own self interests and they act for the interest of others. Hmm. Fair enough. I mean, this is a very laudable material principle. This is a very laudable material principle. Um, but hmm, but this is very strange. This is very strange. If you neglect your own food and offer that food to others or offer half of the food to others, that's very nice. That's very nice. But what are you doing here? You are neglecting your own sadhana and trying to help others. That is that's not the right way of doing it. Because very soon you will lose your ability to help, or your help will be uh, our help will become like empty bullets. Keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting, but no impact. But Bharat Maharaj, due to the influence of Yoga Maya, is thinking exactly like a distracted sadhaka would think in order to set the right example for practicing sadhakas. Uh, So he was thinking like this. So Bharat Maharaj genuinely felt at this point that this is actually for my own good. Iti krita anusanga asana shayana atana snana ashanadishu saha mriga jahuna nehanubadda hridaya asit. Having developed attachment, he became bound by affection to the young deer while sitting, sleeping, walking, bathing, and eating. Upabrita upashamaha means he had increasing peace. Anusangaha means attachment. Mriga jahuna means with the young deer. Kusha, kusuma, samit, palasha, fala mula udakani aharishyamano वृकशाला वृकादिभ्यो भयम् आशंसमानो यदा सह हरिण कुणकेन वनं समाविशति. When he went to collect kusha grass, flowers, wood, leaves, fruits, roots, and water, fearing danger from monkeys, jackals, and wild dogs, he would enter the forest with the young deer. This verse describes his affection. Shalavrika means a jackal. He feared the monkeys, jackals, and dogs. Patishu cha mugdabhavena tatra tatra Vishaktamati pranayavara hridayah karpanyat skandena udvahati evam utsanga urasi cha adhaya upalalayan mudam paramam avapa. His mind filled with affection and attachment as he walked here and there in the forest, unaware of the dangers. He would carry the deer on his shoulders since it was helpless, or keep it on his lap or chest. Petting the deer, he felt great bliss. He felt great bliss. He would walk on the muddy earth where there was grass for the deer. He was unaware that he may sink in the mud. Okay. He was unaware. So which means he started neglecting his own physical safety also. He was attached. Kriyayam nirvartyamanayam antarale api uttaya yadainam अभिचक्षीत तर्हि वावस वर्षपतिः प्रकृतिस्तेन मनसा तस्मा आशिष आशास्ते स्वस्तिस्ताद् वत्सते सर्वत iti. When in the midst of performing worship of the Lord, he would rise and gaze at the deer, Bharata would offer blessings to the deer with mind, joyful on seeing it. O young deer, all blessings to you. Okay. Which means right in the middle of his performance of his sadhana, he would just get up, look at the deer, and start offering blessings to the deer, all the while thinking, is this not what cultured, advanced, compassionate people would do to neglect their own interests, to cater to the interest of others, like that. So while performing worship of the Lord, he would think, I do not know where the deer has gone. He would rise and look. Prakriti stena means recovering himself, gaining bliss on seeing the deer. Anyada, Brisham Udvignamana Nashta Dravina Iva Kripanaha Sakarunam Atitarshena Harina Kunaka Viraha Vihvala Hridaya Santapas Tam Eva Anushochan Kila Kashmalam Mahad Abhirambita iti Ovacha. Sometimes, not seeing the deer, his mind would become pitifully disturbed, like a miser who has lost his wealth. He would become greatly bewildered and lament. His heart was pained by pangs of separation from the small deer. With longing to see it, he would speak as follows. Sometimes, not seeing the deer, he would become bewildered out of longing to see it. So, Bharata's lamentation in separation. Okay. Not from the Supreme Lord, but from the deer. Okay. These are not words of lamentation. Even though he was qualified to make such, uh, to speak the similar, to speak similar words in separation from the Supreme Lord, but by the covering of Yoga Maya, just so that, uh, just because the Lord wanted to use Bharat Maharaj as an example for to teach lessons to other sadhakas. So he was acting like this under the influence of Yoga Maya, even though this was not his nature. Hmm. So Bharat Maharaj would speak, feeling separation from the deer. Apibata savai kripana yena balako mrita harini suto aho mama anaryasya shata kirata mater akrita sukritasya krita vishramba atma pratyayena tad aviganayan sujana iva agamishyati. Perhaps this young helpless deer whose mother has died, having faith in me, though I am actually cruel like a cunning or low class person and have no pious credits, will not consider my offense and will return out of kindness. Even though he is doing so much, he is thinking out of his great attachment, blinding his eyes. He was thinking, sometimes he would think, oh, maybe The deer got upset with me because I did not treat her very well. What a low class, impious person I am. Like that, he was thinking. Api indicates possibility, Bata indicates compassion, Aho indicates surprise due to lamentation. I have the cruel mind of a cheater or low class persons. I am heartless, being inattentive to feeding and protecting the young deer. What is the cause? I have not done pious acts. I am without good fortune. Will the deer return? Not considering the offenses I have committed out of cruelty. What is the cause of his offense? The deer considered that I was pure like it was according to the rule. One thinks the world like oneself. Atmavan manyate jagat. It had faith in me who cannot be trusted. So he was thinking the deer was so pure, and because the deer was so pure, the deer thought that I am also as pure as himself. Sorry, just give me a second. It is 100. I never thought on a kind of long weekend, I thought everyone would have gone for vacation. I never thought it would reach 100. Not anticipated. So I did not share the link, YouTube link, but somehow it has crossed 100 today also. Just give me 1 second. I'm almost done. Okay. So he thought that the deer is very pure, and because he is very pure, he naturally thought that maybe I must also be pure like him. He didn't realize that I was a cheater and a cruel person. He trusted me, and I did not, I breached the trust of this faultless deer. Apikshema, Apikshemena asmin ashrama upavane shashpani charantam devaguptam drakshami. Perhaps I will find that the deer has been protected by my lord and is grazing fearlessly on grass in the garden of the hermitage. So he's thinking, maybe the deer has been protected by my merciful lord. Api chana vrikaha shala vrikaha sala vriko anyatamo va na ekacharo va bakshayati. Perhaps a wolf or jackal or a tiger or in a group of animals or has eaten the deer. Those traveling in groups are wild boars. Actually, wild boars are not exactly carnivorous animals, but they can be very deadly. If they anticipate that you are a threat to them, or if they anticipate that you can become an obstruction to their eating the roots and this thing, so they can attack you, but they are not carnivorous. But they can attack you in a very deadly way. Sometimes wild boars can be so powerful that they can attack a tiger also. Okay. So they are very deadly, but they're not carnivorous animals. Those traveling alone are tigers and others. Will they not eat him? Nimlochati ha Bhagavan sakala jagat kshemoday stri atmadhyapi mama na mrigavadu nyasa agachati. He was thinking, the sun which rises to give benefit to the whole world, composed of the three Vedas, is setting. The young deer entrusted to me by its mother has not returned, as if the mother, yeah, took in writing from Bharat Maharaj that he would be responsible for taking care of that deer for the rest of its life. He felt like that. He felt that kind of a responsibility. So he says, the sun now sets. By rising, it gives benefit to the whole world. But to me alone, there is no benefit since I am unfortunate. The sun in the form of the Vedas. The sun is the form of the Vedas and reveals the Vedas. I alone opposed to its dharma of mercy. The deer has been entrusted to me by its mother, like that he was thinking. Apisvid akrita sukritam agatya mam sukayishyati harina raja kumaro vividha ruchira darshaniya nija mriga daraka vinodair asantosham swanam apanudam. Perhaps the prince amongst the deer. You see, this is all Vatsalya. He is developing Vatsalya bhav towards the deer. Harina Rajakumara, you know. Uh, Maybe he will return and driving away my grief by his pleasant dear actions, give happiness to me who have not done any pious acts. So out of affection, he glorifies the deer while lamenting. Shvelikayam mam mrisha samadina amilite drisham prema samrambena chakita chakita agatya prishad aparusha vishanagrena lutati. When I would close my eyes and fake samadhi in jest, the deer would approach in great alarm and out of anger in love, butt me with the tender tips of his horns, which felt like water drops. Oh, why are you not giving your attention to me? He would he would become angry and he would just start head butting um, Bharat Maharaj, and he was fondly remembering that. Uh, Shvelikaya means while playing. He will approach me with my eyes closed in false samadhi. O fool, though I nourish you, I will not give up my daily duties of remembering and chanting. I am giving you up. Go wherever you want. Like that, he was like, you think I will give up my daily practice of hearing and chanting because of you? Go wherever you want. Like that, he was actually giving up his daily practice of hearing and chanting, closing his eyes and faking samadhi just to play with the deer. Pretending to be angry, I would then fake samadhi out of desire to see what the deer would do. Out of anger in love, the deer would butt me with the tips of his tender horns, which felt like drops of water. Asadita havishi barhishi dushite maya upalabdo bita bitah sapadi uparata rasa Vishikumaravat avahita karana kalapa aste. When the deer would contaminate the ingredients for sacrifice placed on kusha grass, I would scold it. Fearful, it would immediately stop playing and, like the son of a sage, would sit with restrained senses. So he's remembering, fondly remembering all these activities of the deer. So the deer would contaminate the ingredients places placed on the kusha grass by touching them with his teeth. Another version has Dushitva, having contaminated the kusha. I would scold the deer. Ah, what have you done? It would give up its play and remain with motionless senses. Kimva are acharitam tapas tapasvinyayan vinya anya yad iyam avanihi sa vinaya krishnasaratanaya tanutara subaga shivatamakara purapada panktibir dravina viduraturasya kripanasya mama dravina padavim suchayanti atmanam cha sarvatah krita kautukam dvijanam swarga apavarga kamanam devayajanam karoti. What penance the earth must have done? The earth is indicating the path to wealth for this miserly person who suffers from poverty by the small, graceful, auspicious footprints of the humble black deer. So he's telling the I must have performed some great penance. Why? Because the earth is indicating to me the path to wealth. And what is that path to wealth? So while he was wondering, where is the deer? Where is the deer? Where is the deer? And he started seeing the small footprints of the deer. And he thought, oh, I must have done some great pious activities because of which the earth is showing me the path to attain the greatest wealth. And what is that wealth? The small deer. This is how Bharat Maharaj started thinking. The earth has made itself a place of sacrifice for Brahmanas desiring to attain Swarga or liberation by ornamenting itself with these footprints. Talking in this way, he would often rise up and go outside. Seeing the earth marked with its footprints, he then criticizes himself while glorifying the deer out of love. Oh, Bharata is unfortunate. He is a useless performer of penance. What penance the earth has done that you have not done? Or, oh, people of the 14 worlds, say among you who has done penance like the earth. The earth has done lot of penance. Why? Because the earth is so fortunate to have the footprints of the deer. Hmm. While the great devotees glorify the earth for, for being so fortunate to have the footprints of Krishna. And here is Bharat Maharaj glorifying the earth for having the opportunity to bear the footprints of the deer. You have not done as the earth has done. By describing the deer, he indicates the pleasure he derived from it. The footprints show the way to wealth. O miserable Bharata, why do you weep? You will obtain your treasure of life, the small deer, which has entered the forest by following the trail of its footprints. Just follow the footprints. Mother Earth is so pleased with you, O Bharata, that she is indicating to you the how you can reach your wealth, that is the deer. In this way, the earth is merciful to me and is pacifying me. By spreading out these footprints as its ornaments, the earth has made itself playfully into a place of sacrifice. Smriti says, Yasmin deshe mrigaha krishnas tasmin dharman nibodata. Know that there is dharma, a place of sacrifice where the black deer resides. Probably because of the deer skin which can be used for performing sacrifices. Probably that is the reason, I don't know, but Shastras do say like that. And okay, I think we should we complete this section? Two more verses. Yeah, let's do it. Apisvid asau Bhagavan Udupatir Yenam Mrigapati Bhayad Mritamataram Mrigabalakam Swashrama Paribrashtam Anukampaya Kripana Jana Vatsalaha Paripati. The Lord in the form of the moon, affectionate to the helpless persons, out of mercy is protecting this young deer whose mother died out of fear of a lion and who has now left my hermitage. So like that, he's imagining. Looking in the sky and seeing the moon, he thinks that he sees a small deer on the moon. The deer has left my hermitage since I, a most sinful person, have been inattentive. O moon, you are the Lord. Otherwise, how, who could, how could you have the fortune to have the mark of the deer on your surface? Okay. He sees that mark. Actually, that mark resembles more of a rabbit. Hmm. That is why the moon is called as Shashanka. Shashanka means Shasha is a rabbit, Anka means marks. So the black marks on the moon resemble that of a rabbit. So therefore the moon is called as Shashanka. But uh, you know, Stavara Jangamadeki Nadeki Tara Murti Sarvatra Hai Nija Ishtadeva Spurti. So here was Bharat Maharaj, whatever he saw, it reminded him of the deer, Ishtadeva. The deer had become his Ishtadeva now. He looked at it and he saw, instead of seeing the mark of a rabbit, he saw the mark of a deer there. Kimva Atmaja Vishlesha Jwara Dava Dahana Shikabir Upatapyamana Hridaya Stala Nalinikam Mam Upasrishta Mrigi Tanayam Shishira Shanta Anuraga Gunita Nija Vadana Salila Amritamaya Gabastibihi Swadayati iti cha. When the moon give, when will the moon give me pleasure by its rays of cool, peaceful nectar flowing from its mouth out of attraction for me as I pursue the deer while my heart, like a land lotus, burns with the feverish flames of the forest fire of separation from my son. So when will the moon cool me down with its cooling rays? How? By showing to me where my sun, where my son. Now he is seeing the deer as his son. Noticing that the rays of the moons are burning him, he expresses his desire. In separation from my son, the cool rays of the moon have become hot. Ah, when will the time come when the young deer will come back to me? The moon will then cool me down. Will the moon turn me who pursues the deer into nectar? Will it turn me into nectar by inundating my limbs, burning in separation from the deer with its nectar, by its rays made of nectar, flowing as water constantly from its mouth, cool and peaceful, intensified by the attraction for me? The word Sudayati is formed by taking Sudhavat and dropping the suffix Vat according to the rule Vin Mator Look. This is Panini grammar. Just as persons skillful in mantras cool fever by applying water from their mouths, the moon should apply water from its mouth on me. So, expert people, apparently, this is a kind of process that persons chant particular mantras and, you know, they take some water in their mouth and they probably spit it on the person and then it, you know, cures them of some ailment. Another version has Upasrishta Mrigitanaya. The meaning would then be, when will the deer pacify me out of affection by the touch of his mouth on my limbs? Which means, when will he lick me and give me life? Like that. Okay, we will pause here to see if there are any quick discussion points, comments, questions based on either today's discussion or if there are any leftover discussion points from yesterday, we can take it also. Any quick discussion points, comments, questions from today or yesterday, leftover? Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandatman Prabhu.
And that
Uh, in the flow, in today's session, Prabhuji, you are sharing many important points with the example of Bharat Maharaj. We should focus on the sadhana, and without, we can't be a compassionate. I mean, after when we do proper sadhana, then we can naturally do compassion towards other living entity or something like that.
yeah.
The thing is, in practically, like how in the proper time, I have two questions, Prabhuji. One question is that, like in proper time, Prabhupada used to send his disciples, two or three disciples, go to one place and start the moment.
Mhm.
And they'll be going and they'll be starting, and the center is to come and move on. Like how, my question is how they were handling, because practically two or three devotees, how they make it, what kind of difficulty they faced, or is there any difficulty, or they were able to naturally progress or move on. How was it possible, Prabhuji?
In that case, it was, the prime sadhana is the direct instruction of the Guru. That is the prime sadhana. So,
Mhm.
and that was the need of the hour because the movement was in a very, very fledgling state, beginning state, and Srila Prabhupada did not have a long time. So that was the need of the hour. So in such cases, the direct instruction of the disciple of the guru is the prime sadhana for the disciple. And Prabhupada knew that that this is what is needed, and I will empower them. So when a very exalted Vaishnava gives such instructions, he empowers them also. So from in such cases, we have to see sadhana as the prime sadhana, as the direct instruction of the guru becomes the prime sadhana of the disciple.
Okay, it's beautiful, Prabhuji. The second question, practically in like we do have many centers, and for example, like by myself, I think
Mhm.
I'm now one center with only two devotees are there serving in the temple, and there are many services in the so most of the time like we are not able to. I'm not able to basically focus on my sadhana. Sometimes it goes down, and sometimes I feel I need to take a break and kind of nourish myself and go into maybe eco village or something like that and do Shastra study and in the association of devotees take association and come so that I can do some better service. But
Mhm.
if I leave, but many devotees are kind of depend since when only two devotees are there and my senior is there. And if I leave, like what my senior may think,
Mhm.
and how can I like such thought comes through. Thing is, being here, not able to do my sadhana and focus on my goal on spiritual life. At same time, kind of there is a dependency also. So how
Mhm.
can I handle this case, Prabhuji?
So
Like,
in such cases, better we present our predicament to the senior devotee, uh, and especially if we have trust in the position of that senior devotee. So because uh, so then we can take guidance from him. Prabhu, this is my predicament. I'm not feeling nourished. I need some nourishment to continue. So is this not important? Sometimes the uh, he may say that yes, I feel that you need nourishment. This project can wait. It's not very urgent, because the nourishment of the individual devotee is more important. If the devotee feels like that, then he may guide you in that way. But if that uh, bona fide advanced devotee feels that yes, you will get that also, just complete this one small thing, or you do this for a while, and then definitely you can take a break and pursue that. So basically we need guidance here, because sometimes we get carried away thinking that all that matters is my sadhana and everything else takes a back seat. That may be wrong actually. So the most important principle is personal guidance, because
mm,
everything is very contextual. uh, so therefore the general principles can be discussed, but the application of those principles are very, very personal, and therefore definitely one needs mature, good intentioned personal guidance for these kind of things.
thanks a lot, Prabhuji. Dana Pranam. Next.
Shivakumar Prabhu,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanavad pranams, Prabhu.
Dandavat Prabhu.
Prabhu, the yesterday's question, Prabhu, I think it will take some more time. Maybe I'll bring it up in other time, Prabhu, when we kind of discuss in that context. I think there is a lot of shift in the context. I'll bring it up on another day, Prabhu. From today's class, and just one question I had this, Prabhu. So, in terms of this compassion, Prabhu, on material grounds,
Mhm.
mm, any guidelines of where do we draw the line, Prabhu? If I have compassion towards someone on the material grounds, does it indicate I myself still under the grip of the material value system, the conditioning that I carry over? Is that what the uh,
See, compassion is very natural for a devotee.
mm,
That has to be there. The
mm,
problem comes when it becomes too much on the bodily platform and it starts disturbing our own primary practices of
mm,
sadhana.
mm,
Otherwise, compassion is natural and it should be there. If it is not there, then we should be concerned actually.
mm, mm,
If we are not, if we are, if other people's suffering is not touching our heart, then something is wrong. Our heart has become very hard actually.
mm, mm,
But the problem is when it starts, uh, when it starts interfering, when it starts hijacking our consciousness from Krishna,
mm, mm,
when it starts, when that becomes very disconnected from Krishna consciousness, and it
mm,
becomes more on the bodily consciousness and takes our time and consciousness away from bhakti.
Mm.
That's where the problem comes.
Mm.
Otherwise, compassion is not the problem. Bodily consciousness is the problem.
Mm.
Compassion is very natural,
Mm.
you know. It is very natural. One has to have it. That is a
Mm.
sign of the heart becoming softer and softer.
Mm. Mm. Okay, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, just one subtle aspect, Prabhu, on this, I wanted to ask. Say a devotee is having a favorable atmosphere for practicing bhakti,
Mhm,
and he's making a lot of progress. Progress, as in not in terms of results, but he's kind of going through the purification in a maybe a faster pace,
mhm,
versus one who is not in a favorable atmosphere,
mhm,
but it's not a disturbance to the sadhana, but he is not
mhm,
able to make a lot of progress. The purification is not happening because of the atmosphere is not conducive for bhakti.
mhm.
So in that case, there is some aversion that gets developed towards the people who are not conducive for bhakti, as against the ones who give favorable atmosphere to practice.
Mhm.
So how do we look at that aversion, Prabhu? Should that be looked at as lack of compassion, uh, as far as they are not disturbing, but it's not conducive for making progress or purification?
Well, we have to look at it very carefully.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes when we become clueless as to what can be done to improve my spiritual situation,
Mm.
when we become kind of clueless,
Mm.
it leads to frustration.
Mm.
And that frustration comes out of as anger and hatred towards, you know, even though we know shastrically that they are not the reasons for my this thing,
Mm.
but the generic frustration at our own situation and
Mm.
not seeing light at the end of the tunnel, how is it going to change? When is it going to change? You
Mm.
know, am I destined to just be here in this kind of a situation which is non-conducive?
Mm.
So that kind of a frustration sets in,
Mm.
hopelessness sets in, and that
Mm.
hopelessness and frustration manifests in the form of anger towards that other person. Even though we know that that person is not to be blamed,
Mm.
he or she is not the reason for
Mm.
what I'm going through. But
Mm.
our generic frustration has to be kind of dumped on someone,
Mm.
and that someone ends up being this person.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So, we do get stuck up in such junctures in life,
Mm.
sometimes for a short period of time, sometimes for a prolonged period of time.
Mm.
So that's when, you know, prayers and seeking guidance can help.
Mm. Mm.
Seeking
Mm.
guidance, because sometimes when we are really stuck up,
Mm.
uh, you know, we can't see, you know, what is the solution.
Mm. Mm.
So, and because we are so much caught up, our mind is filled with Rajogun and Tamogun because
Mm.
of that. So, when we take guidance from a neutral person,
Mm.
uh, that person may be able to see something which we are not able to see,
Mm. Mm.
because they are themselves not really traumatized by that particular situation.
Mm. 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 Mm.
So,
Mm.
uh, yeah, it is natural.
Mm.
It happens to many people
Mm.
that they know theoretically that this person is not the reason,
Mm.
but
Mm.
that the generic frustration which comes out in the form of anger has to be vented on someone,
Mm.
and you generally end up venting it on those people with whom you are staying.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
This is natural and this
Mm.
happens.
Mm. 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 Okay, 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 Prabhu. Prabhu, just one last follow-up question, Prabhu. I'm kind of asking both on my behalf, on my and also my discussion with other devotees who are in a similar challenge, Prabhu. Now, say there are some family members who do not have enough sukruti yet to take up bhakti, and so their decisions, the important decisions that they're going to make, might potentially impact our spiritual life also. Like I am picking up an example of, say, my child is there, either son or a daughter, and
Mhm.
not having enough sukruti to pick up bhakti yet, pure devotional service yet. And
Mhm.
when it comes to the stage of she or he getting married,
Mhm.
uh, the individual is like a cat on the wall, not a regular karmi, heavily living a materialistic life, nor a devotee, not having enough sukruti to pick up the, bhakti either. So
You
when
mean
the
the son or
person,
daughter?
son or daughter, yes, Prabhu, of a
Mm.
devotee parents,
Mm.
when
Mm.
they get into a marriage with a karmi, because they are not yet devotee yet, and
Mhm.
they get pushed on to the other side. Um,
Mhm.
and if that if that kind of an marriage is not working out and issues are coming up, if it potentially affects the parents, so
Mhm.
any thoughts, Prabhu, as to how we should look at these kind of situations? I'm just picking up this example, Prabhu. I mean, while my situation is also similar to it, but my this thing is a little different.
Yeah, I mean, see, we cannot get too much worked up with things which are beyond our control.
Mm, mm,
So, because then we will start neglecting those things which are very much within our control.
mm,
So,
mm,
uh, yes, that does not mean we should not feel for it.
mm,
Uh, so, the best course of action uh, when dealing with things which are beyond our control, but we feel very, very much for it, is prayers.
mm,
That is the best course of action
mm,
for dealing with things which are beyond our control.
mm, mm,
And definitely,
mm,
so for that which is beyond our control, we should offer prayers
mm,
and just let it go.
mm,
And for things which are uh, very much within our control, we should focus on that.
mm,
And we
mm,
should never neglect um, mm, that which is uh, within our control
mm,
to take too much pressure about things which are beyond our control,
mm,
because that is very counterproductive.
mm, mm, mm,
So, but even though this is easier said than done,
mm,
not very easy,
mm,
because but all said and done, when the dust settles down, we will eventually realize that this is the reality.
mm, mm,
We will, when the dust settles down, we will realize that, oh, I took so much of pressure and tension and time got wasted for trying to fix something which was beyond my control.
mm,
And in doing that, I ended up neglecting so many important things which were within my control.
mm, 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 mm,
So
mm.
uh, that realization we will eventually come to,
Okay.
but by then months and years may have passed.
Mm, mm, mm,
So
mm,
other people's lives, even though they may be lives of our own children, beyond a level, uh, we cannot control it, even though we can clearly see that probably that person is making a wrong choice.
mm, mm,
Uh,
mm,
but but if that person is unwilling to hear,
mm,
uh, sometimes you may have to uh, let things go.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
so it is not that devotee marriages have survived.
mm,
It is not that when a devotee married, there have been many times when a devotee married a non-devotee spouse,
mm,
and the non-devotee spouse ended up becoming a much better devotee.
mm, mm, mm,
Then there have been cases where the husband was a devotee,
mm,
wife was not a devotee.
mm,
Eventually, wife became a very good devotee, and husband eventually gave up Krishna consciousness also. Such
mm,
examples are also there.
mm, mm, mm,
Okay.
mm,
So uh, it is not that uh, that such kind of marriages are clearly written on stone verdict. That when a cat on a wall person is getting married to a non-devotee husband or wife, it is written on the wall that his life will be ruined. Nothing of that sort. Many times husband and wife both are not devotees, but eventually after getting married, they become devotees. Okay. So therefore, we cannot become too much worked up. So, and very good practicing devotees, husband and wife, marriage does not survive. Sometimes, many times that is also seen. So the thing is, we don't have to, anything can happen. But one thing is, Krishna responds to prayers. So if it is beyond our control, the best course of action is offer a prayer sincerely to Krishna and focus on that which is within our control.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Such a beautiful answer. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So there are some things in the chat box. Let's try to take them. Is there any difference in consciousness of a devotee who himself is neglecting sadhana versus a devotee who is under the Lord's plan of correction? Yeah, I mean, generally, when we are talking about ourselves, better we understand, it is always safe to understand that we are ourselves neglecting our sadhana. And when we want to, I mean, generally it's very rare that in today's day and age that the Lord is choosing a person to use him as an instrument to teach others while he is already at the stage of bhava or prema. Those are rare. We don't have to keep searching for those kind of examples. In your last answer, you said well-intentioned guidance. In ISKCON, all mentors will have the right intention even if they are not mature. Yeah. Is this understanding correct? Quite possible. Very much possible. Very much possible. What if our mentors are too busy to give personal guidance too often as may be required? Yeah, I mean, they can be your official mentors, but not everything. Mentoring and guidance need not always be official. Unofficially, you can always take guidance from someone else whom you may feel inspired by. Okay, sorry for the question from a previous chapter. In 5:16:14 purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, Lord Krishna appeared in the Yadu dynasty and Lord Ramachandra appeared in the Ikshvaku or Raghu dynasty. Similarly, Lord Rishabdev appeared in the dynasty of King Priyavrata. All these dynasties are very famous and of them the dynasty of Priyavrata is most famous. My question is why Priyavrata dynasty is most famous? I already answered this question. I said, I don't know. Maybe because the context of discussion is about Priyavrata Maharaj. Maybe that is the reason why it is said like that. But honestly, I do not know why exactly Srila Prabhupada mentions like that. Okay, we will pause here and continue this discussion on Monday. Thank you all very much for your patient listening and your enthusiastic participation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.